Nice to have you joining us today at the Satsang meditation service led by Jack, Norma, and myself, Santisha. We like to start this service by chanting with the call and response, and Norma and I are the call, and Larry is the response. And they say to sing is to pray twice, and I know that right now we need lots of prayers, calling in the unseen realms to support this journey that we're all on together, to find more clarity, to step out of the confusion of what's next, what are we going to do, to connect with this greater power, this greater love, the only thing that really ever is consistent in direction, so that we may tap into the ethereal realm and be divinely guided to that which is being called as individuals and as a collective. So when we sing these words into the universe, we're calling prayers in our uniting and understanding the why this is all going on, and to get into the presence that everything in life is in divine order. And so as we sing into divine order, we will have revelations of what's being called for us as an individual and what we need to bring to the collective. Where there is love, there's peace.
Where there is love, there's peace.
Where there is love, there's joy.
Where there is love, there's joy.
Where there is love, there's God.
Where there is love, there's God.
Good morning, everyone. Just announcements. I want to let you know that we're still doing our ministers' meetings on Zoom every Tuesday and Friday and Sunday at 12 noon. So that's on Zoom. And you can get the code to that by emailing unityofboulder.com so that you can join us and ask any questions you may have about Unity or the services that you've watched, and we'd appreciate having you. We also want to remind you that we have a Saturday afternoon service at 5 o'clock with Reverend Shad Groveland, and every Sunday we're still doing the same 9 a.m. satsang service, which is what this is, and then we have our 11 o'clock service with Reverend Santisha Shadle. So you can tune into all of those, and when you're enjoying them, as you probably will, you can take some time to find that donate tab on your screen and make a donation so that we can continue our spiritual operations here at Unity of Boulder. And those are very appreciated. This morning I'm going to start with a dialogue that took place in Shakespeare's Hamlet. Can we have this first PowerPoint, please? Hamlet says, "Denmark is a prison. Rosencrantz, then all the world is a prison, for there is no place I know in the world to be as good as Denmark." Hamlet, "Why then, 'tis not a prison to you because you think it not." Rosencrantz, "And it is a prison to you because you think it is." Hamlet, "Be it resolved then, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." Hamlet resolved, "Be it resolved, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." You will find, if you read the plays of Shakespeare, that he brings to light just about every important issue in life. And this is a very important issue that's being discussed here. Because we, at some place in our awakening process, in our living process, must become aware of the fact that no two people live in the same world. Everyone lives in the world of his or her beliefs. And everything that they experience is filtered through those beliefs. So you have this incredible, diverse, uncountable, astronomical number of personal perceptions. And they come along with personal opinions about different things. But there is no way to find yourself into the awakened state of awareness if you don't realize this and you don't understand that to finally have peace is to be able to look past the differences of other people, to be able to flow with the many differences being expressed by the many different people that are in your life. This is certainly a first and important step on the spiritual journey toward the full awakening that brings us into a dynamic peace that surpasses the understanding of the world. Because the world still operates from the illusion of being separate from one another. And that illusion is the underlying cause of all of man's conflicts. It's the underlying cause of man's inhumanity to man. People supposing their particular point of view coming through their collection of beliefs is the one and only right one, the one and only one that should be acknowledged, followed, and obeyed. So we have to get over that. We have to transcend that in our awareness. You know, I hear people say things like, this is a miserable day because it's raining. They say, this is a miserable day. And, you know, you can hear people say different things from their different points of view. Maybe it is for them because they planned a picnic at that day. I don't know. But, you know, I've heard people say things like, as a matter of fact, this is an interesting one I heard on the checkout line in the supermarket when they were installing all of these bicycle stations in Boulder. Someone said to a person that was with them, oh, just what we need, bicycle stations in Boulder so we can have more airbrained bikers mucking up the travel, mucking up the traffic. So, you know, these are points of view, and this is the way people feel according to their own perception, their own beliefs. And certainly, you may have met people that are just have a negative outlook. Nothing is absolutely right. There's always something wrong. There's always something missing. And you hear them comment on this. Well, this is a particular flaw in certain negative people. And we also have to learn how to transcend responding to that in a negative way. Because that is the only way we're going to bring peace, insight, joy to our own lives. If we're no longer being tossed to and fro by every changing perception that we meet in our lives. And we're going to discover in the process of awakening that we can heal those seeming different opinions and different perceptions that people have by being so totally healed within ourselves. This is what it's really all about. Let's take a look at this next PowerPoint because it tells us a lot about what happens in the process of judging. This is Eckhart Tolle, his book, Stillness Speaks. Suffering begins when you mentally name or label a situation in some way as undesirable or bad. You resent a situation, and that resentment personalizes it and brings in the reactive me. Naming something as bad causes an emotional contraction within you. When you let it be without naming it, enormous power is suddenly available to you. The contraction cuts you off from that power, the power of life itself. So let's look at this again. Suffering begins when you mentally name or label a situation in some way as undesirable or bad. You resent a situation, and that resentment personalizes it and brings it in the reactive me. Naming something as bad causes an emotional contraction within you. When you let it be without naming it, enormous power is suddenly available to you. It is the power, really, of acceptance and the choice for peace and insight that comes to us when we do that. The contraction that you feel when you are naming something as undesirable cuts you off from that power, cuts you off from the power of life itself. So this is a modern-day master, Eckhart Tolle, sharing with us the way the mind works and how we need to be mindful in dealing with the conditions and circumstances as we look upon them. It is necessary for us to do that in order to enter the enlightened state or the enlightened, awakened state of awareness. We could even ask the question, what does an ego-centered person gain from finding fault? You may hear people all the time finding fault, and some people, that seems to be their MO. They want to find fault with everything. But what do they gain from that? They gain a momentary or fleeting experience of specialness that they inside themselves must feel right, that they're looking upon something that they feel they have bettered than, they are smarter than, they are capable of judging that, without realizing the fact that in doing that, they are cutting themselves off from the natural flow of being in peace. There's a natural flow of feeling good that comes when the mind is not filled with limited projections about conditions and circumstances. There's just naturally enters a state of well-being or feeling good, feeling peace. I can tell you I was in the Army and I recognized in that experience, not because I was anywhere awakened in the experience, but some of the negativity was so great by soldiers that didn't want to be doing the Army regiments that they stood out. And so you saw how they made life so much more difficult for themselves. And in some ways, they made it difficult for the platoon of the rest of the guys that were there because they just couldn't get on with the limitations that were imposed upon them as soldiers who are in training. So it is necessary for us to be able to transcend the negative thinking of people, because in doing that, we can heal ourselves, and in the process, we can heal them. If we're not responding from, the same kind of negativity, if we don't respond in kind to some negative affront or some negative condition or some negative statement or some negative outlook that somebody has, if we don't respond in kind, but manage to keep ourselves within at peace, bestowing peace in our own awareness and not reacting, when we do that, and we do that enough, you will begin to recognize how it has an effect on these other people. Because all minds, in effect, are in communication. All minds are one in communication. And you find this being reiterated over and over and over again in A Course in Miracles. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? Oh, this is from the Bible. This is the Master of Life speaking directly and makes it very clear and to the point. All right, we'll take the Course in Miracles quote first. You can encounter only part of yourself because you are a part of God, who is everything. His power and glory are everywhere, and you cannot be excluded from them. The ego teaches that your strength is in you alone. The Holy Spirit teaches that all strength is in God and therefore in you. We can leave it there. The divine awakening consciousness relates to us that we are all part of God, the one oversoul, the one true self of all being. And when we acknowledge that and we transcend our limited personal perspectives, our personal points of view, what we do is we enter a refined level of awareness in which we move with intuition and insight instead of conflict and one-upmanship. The object then of life really is to find happiness. But to find happiness, we must ultimately transcend the differences that appear to us that come through other people's points of view. Remembering that all people are operating from their limited perspective if they're still operating in the personal and not the universal. People operating in the personal will operate from their collection of beliefs, and they will have decided within themselves the right and wrong of things, the good and the bad of things. So we can't change that by fighting with them or trying to convince them overtly. But we can change them by holding no limited feelings toward them. This is a mystical approach to healing life. By holding no limited feelings or thoughts regarding any other person, they pick that up because we are all one in truth. The separation that we perceive from the personal level is an illusion and creates a false definition and interpretation of life. So it is incumbent upon us to eventually see that operating from the personal point of view is not conducive to bringing what we really want out of life, which is harmony, peace, insight, joy, friendship, all those things actually that lead to prosperity. People are amazed when they start to do this inner work. They become mindful in their approach to life. They are amazed at how their lives change so much toward the better. And not only that, but when you become an awakened person, you're operating from unconditional acceptance, unconditional love, unconditional compassion. What happens when you're doing that? You've entered the one and only attractive power of the universe. You've entered the attractive power of love, which in the end draws all good things to itself. So whatever difficulty, challenges, things that you might be meeting in life, that you really would rather not be meeting, take to task your own awareness. Change your approach. Become more mindful of simply looking past the seeming limited, and you will see how things will change toward you, because the truth remains and can never be sundered. We are all one. All minds are always in communication on some level. And while that's cut off by personal limited beliefs with a lot of people, we can help heal them by healing ourselves, by not taking issue with what they're saying. And all of this is said very clearly and cogently by the Master of Life in the book of Matthew. Can we have this quote from the Bible, please? Judge not that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And the measure you give will be the measure you get. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. That is so clear and to the point. In relationship to our judgments, we're getting back the measure we're putting out. And so if there are limitations confronting us over and over again in our everyday relationships in life, it is incumbent upon us, actually necessary, for us to take to task our own judgmental awareness. Release the judgments. Find the way into healing and peace and blessing and consideration. And the only way to do that is to train the mind to be mindful enough to look past the seeming slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that seem to come our way. Look past that and operate from a proactive level of awareness. That is, to not hold blame, guilt, resentment in your awareness. Be careful to not recognize these things when they come up. When you're feeling negative emotions and you look to see the origin of them and find that you're in blame of something, someone, that you're resenting something or someone, that's when you need to pause. You need to let go of that thinking and know that you can choose the higher awareness. You can choose that peace, that healing forgiveness, that insightful understanding that everybody, no matter what level they're on, is working toward finding that level of insight, peace, compassion, and love. They're working toward that. So when we give them permission to be working toward that, and we hold no animosity toward them, what happens is we're actually healing them by healing ourselves. Their minds are picking it up that they are in fact blessed and need to move more swiftly toward that blessing. That's our yoga. That's the yoga of those seeking to be enlightened. Once again, we will meditate together, which is a necessary spiritual practice, to be still and allow the mind to quiet down. And we do that by allowing the vibrations of our Tibetan bowls to just carry us along for a while, because they're calibrated to actually synchronize the energy centers in our own spiritual minds. And so while we're doing this and while we're meditating together, if you don't have a particular meditation technique, you may want to just work with this mantra. I am in you. You are in me. I am the truth, the life, and the way. Be still and know that I am God. as we go forth from this meditation to those places that we occupy in time and space, let us remember that we are living by divine appointment. Life itself is designed to make us happy. If we just remember that and decide to practice mindfulness, not judging, not fearing, not resenting, not diminishing, just letting and blessing and forgiving, we will see how we will enter the kingdom of heaven that Jesus said is always in the midst of us. So as we go forth now, let us go forth with gratitude for the understanding that heals all life. To this, let us say, Amen.